Picture this. I'm standing at the edge of my kitchen counter, the faint hum of the refrigerator filling the silence, as I trace the rim of a chipped coffee mug with my fingertip. It's not just any mug. It's the one I've used every morning for the past decade, a relic of a life I've built, brick by boring brick. My name is Claire, and at 38, I've somehow become a master of blending into the background. I'm the woman you'd pass on the street without a second glance, always wrapped in long-sleeved dresses or stiff, conservative suits, my body and heart tucked away behind layers of fabric and forced smiles. I'm not sure when I started hiding, but it's been long enough that even I forget what's underneath. I live in a small suburban home just outside the city, a place with a neat lawn and beige walls that might as well be a mirror of my existence. Orderly, unremarkable, safe. My husband, Mark, is 42, a security guard at the local college. We've been married for 15 years, and I do love him, I swear I do. But somewhere along the way, our love turned into a well-rehearsed play. Every day follows the same script. I head to my job as an administrative assistant in a cramped downtown office where I shuffle papers and answer emails with the enthusiasm of a robot. The monotony of it seeps into my bones, mirroring the predictability of everything else in my world. When I get home, I start dinner, moving through the kitchen like I'm on autopilot, chopping vegetables with a precision that's more about distraction than care. Mark usually gets back late from his shifts, the creak of the front door announcing his arrival. I hear his boots hit the floor, the jingle of his keys as he tosses them on the table, and then there we are, two actors in a silent scene. Dinner passes with little more than a few polite words, maybe a comment about the weather or a co-worker's latest gripe. Afterward, we sink into the couch, the TV flickering with some show neither of us is really watching. I steal glances at him sometimes, his profile lit by the blue glow of the screen, wondering if he feels the same emptiness I do. Our marriage isn't broken, not exactly. It's just still. Too proper, too contained, like a room with no windows. And yet, beneath it all, there's this ache in me. A quiet, buried yearning for something wilder, something that could shatter the glass of this life I've so carefully polished. I've pushed that desire down for years, locked it away where it can't cause trouble, but it's there, simmering, waiting for a spark. Our home doesn't help. It's a small, tidy box in a row of identical boxes, the kind of place where nothing unexpected ever happens. The lawn is always mowed, the curtains always drawn just so, and the walls, oh, those beige walls, seem... It's Friday evening, and I'm in my office, the hum of the fluorescent lights overhead filling the quiet space as I pack up to head home. The day has dragged on, each tick of the clock a slow march toward the weekend, and I'm ready to escape the sterile walls of this downtown building. I'm in my usual navy blazer and knee-length skirt, my hair pulled back into a tight bun that's starting to give me a headache. My desk is a mess of papers I've been sorting through, and I'm just stacking the last of them into a neat pile when I hear a familiar shuffle at the door. I glance up, and there's Mark, leaning against the doorframe, his security uniform slightly wrinkled from a long shift at the college. His hazel eyes catch the light, and there's something in them I can't quite place. A glint, sharp and unusual, like he's holding on to a secret. "Hey, Claire," he says, his voice casual but with an edge I don't often hear. "Got a minute before you head out?" I nod, my fingers pausing on the papers, curiosity prickling at the back of my mind. He steps into the room, his boots scuffing softly against the tiled floor, and leans closer. "There's a technical break at the college this weekend. Maintenance stuff. Means the campus buildings will be completely empty." His voice drops lower, almost a whisper as he adds, "I want you to do something. Not entirely proper." My breath catches, and I feel my eyebrows shoot up. Not entirely proper? What on earth does he mean by that? I open my mouth to ask, but before I can get the words out, he smirks, a slow, knowing curve of his lips, and says, "Meet me at the college auditorium tomorrow evening, 7 p.m. sharp." And just like that, he turns and walks out, leaving me standing there, my heart thumping a little harder in my chest, a mix of confusion and intrigue swirling in my head. I finish packing up in a daze, the echo of his words looping through my thoughts as I lock the office door and head to my car. That night, lying in bed next to Mark, who's already fast asleep, his steady breathing filling the dark room, I can't stop wondering what he's planning. My mind races, turning over every possibility. Part of me wants to brush it off as some silly game, a fleeting whim that'll amount to nothing. But there's another part, a quieter, hidden part of me, that feels a spark of excitement at the thought of stepping outside the lines of my carefully ordered life. I've spent so long keeping everything in its place, following the rules, that the idea of doing something improper, as he put it, sends a shiver down my spine. I turn onto my side, staring at the faint outline of the curtains in the moonlight, wrestling with myself. Should I just laugh it off tomorrow? Pretend he was joking? Or should I let myself lean into this? As I step into the college auditorium at exactly 7 p.m., the vast space swallows me whole. The air feels heavy, charged with something I can't name, and the dim lighting casts long shadows across the rows of empty seats. A single spotlight pierces the darkness, illuminating the stage ahead like a beacon, drawing me in despite the nervous flutter in my chest. My footsteps echo on the hardwood floor, each one louder than the last, as if announcing my presence to some unseen audience. I clutch my purse tighter, the leather creaking under my grip, and that's when I see them. 3 men standing near the stage, their silhouettes sharp against the glow of the light. They're older than me, in their late 40s or early 50s, dressed in security uniforms identical to the one Mark wears every day. I recognize them, though only vaguely, as his colleagues from the college. There's Tom, with his salt and pepper beard and a jaw so stern it could cut glass. Richard, broad-shouldered and carrying a sly grin that makes my stomach twist. And Victor, lean and eerily quiet, his piercing eyes seeming to slice right through me. They turn as one to look at me, their gaze is so intense I feel exposed, as if they can see past every wall I've built around myself. I freeze, rooted to the spot, my breath shallow and quick. Before I can even think to speak, Mark's voice crackles through the auditorium speakers, calm but with a commanding edge that sends a jolt through me. "This is for you, Claire. A gift. If you're ready, let go." My breath catches in my throat, sharp and painful, as I realize he's not here with me. He's watching from somewhere else, probably the security room, his eyes glued to the cameras that I now notice perched in the corners of the ceiling. My mind spins. A gift? Let go? What does he mean? But then the men step closer, their movements slow and deliberate, and a chilling understanding settles over me. This isn't just a random meeting. Mark has orchestrated this, arranged for these men, his trusted co-workers, to be here with me, to push me toward a line I've never dared to cross. I'm stunned, my thoughts a chaotic storm of shock, fear, and something else, something forbidden, a curiosity I've buried so deep I barely recognize it. Tom is the first to reach me, his rough hand brushing against my arm as he steps into my space. He lifts my chin with a firm but gentle touch, forcing me to meet his steady gaze. My heart hammers so hard, I'm sure he can hear it. Behind me, Richard moves in, his presence a solid weight, and I feel his fingers trace a slow, deliberate line down my spine, sending involuntary shivers racing through me. Victor is on my other side, leaning in close, his breath warm against my ear, as he murmurs something low and intimate, words I can't quite catch, but whose tone wraps around me like a caress. I don't pull away. I know I should, but I don't. Inside, I'm a battlefield. Years of restraint, of playing the part of the proper wife, the invisible woman, scream at me to stop, to run, to cling to the safety of the life I've built. But there's another voice, quieter, older, buried under layers of denial, and it's whispering to me now, urging me to surrender, to feel something real for the first time in forever. Their hands are on me now, exploring with a careful boldness, as if testing how far I'll let this go. They touch the parts of me I've hidden for so long, not just under fabric, but under years of self-control, and I feel like I'm unraveling. My skin burns where they linger, awakening sensations I've forgotten I could feel. I'm not the Claire I've been for the past decade, not the woman in stiff suits and forced smiles. I'm someone else, someone who craves this rush, this raw emotion, this forbidden thrill that's tearing through every barrier I've ever put up. I'm standing center stage, surrounded by them, the spotlight casting our shadows across the floor, and I'm caught in this moment, suspended between who I was and who I might become. As the intensity fades, the men slowly step back, their faces a mask of unreadable emotions. I'm left standing alone on the stage, the black dress I wore tonight hanging slightly off my shoulder, the fabric wrinkled in places I hadn't noticed before. My breath comes in uneven gasps, my chest rising and falling as if I've just run a marathon. The spotlight above me feels harsher now, pinning me in place, making me feel bare in a way that goes beyond just my skin. Yet, beneath the vulnerability, there's a strange surge of power humming through me, like I've tapped into a hidden well of strength I didn't know I had. It's as if I've broken through a wall inside myself, revealing a part of me that's been locked away for far too long. Tom gives me a subtle nod, a quiet sign of respect in his stern gaze, before turning away. Richard's lips curve into a small, approving smile, his eyes lingering on me for a moment longer than necessary. Victor, ever the silent one, steps closer just enough to murmur a soft, "Thank you," his voice low and sincere, before he joins the others. They move as one toward the auditorium exit, their boots echoing faintly on the hardwood floor until the heavy door swings shut behind them. And then it's just me, alone under the unrelenting glare of that single light. The silence is suffocating, broken only by the distant hum of the air conditioning somewhere in the building. I feel the weight of what just happened pressing down on me, a mix of exhilaration and uncertainty swirling in my chest. I shuffle to the edge of the stage, my legs trembling slightly as I lower myself to sit, letting them dangle over the side. The cool wood of the stage feels grounding beneath my palms, a stark contrast to the heat still lingering on my skin where their hands had been. There's a faint ache in my muscles, a reminder of the tension I'd held and then released in ways I never imagined I could. I stare out at the empty rows of seats, the shadows stretching long and dark across the auditorium, and my mind becomes a storm of thoughts. Guilt creeps in first, sharp and cold, as I think of Mark, of the vows we spoke all those years ago in a small church with beige walls, not unlike the ones in our home. I've always honored those promises, kept myself within the lines of what a wife should be. But tonight, I stepped so far beyond those lines, I can't even see them anymore. And yet, alongside the guilt, there's a calm settling over me, a sense of release I haven't felt in years. It's as if I've shed a heavy coat I didn't realize I was wearing, one woven from years of repression and restraint. I run my fingers along the edge of the stage, the wood smooth and slightly worn under my touch, and I can't help but wonder what Mark is thinking right now. Is he still watching me through those cameras in the security room, his eyes fixed on my every move? Was this truly a gift, as he called it over the speakers, Something meant to free me from the cage of our predictable life? Or was it a test, some twisted way to see how far I'd go, how much I'd risk for a taste of something different? My heart twists at the thought, a knot of anxiety tightening in my chest. I pull the sleeves of my dress down over my arms, a reflex I've done 1,000 times to cover myself, to hide. But this time, it feels different. It's not about hiding anymore. It's a choice. A small act of reclaiming control after letting go so completely just moments ago. The silence in the auditorium grows heavier, pressing against my ears until it's almost a sound of its own. I tilt my head back, closing my eyes for a moment, trying to steady the whirlwind in my mind. What does this mean for me now? For us? I've crossed a threshold I can't uncross, felt things I can't unfeel. The memory of their touch, the way it stirred something primal and long buried in me, lingers like I'm still sitting on the edge of the stage. The cool wood under my palms anchoring me as my thoughts churn like a storm I can't escape. The auditorium is so quiet now, the kind of quiet that feels like it's pressing in on me, making every breath I take seem louder than it should be. My legs dangle over the side, my feet not quite touching the floor, and I can't bring myself to move just yet. The echoes of what happened here, those intense, boundary-shattering moments, are still vibrating through me, leaving my skin tingling with a memory I can't shake. I keep my eyes fixed on the empty seats stretching out before me, row after row of silent witnesses in the dim light, because looking anywhere else feels too dangerous, too raw. Then I hear it. The heavy, deliberate sound of boots on the hardwood floor, a rhythm I'd know anywhere. My heart skips, a quick, sharp jolt in my chest, and I know it's Mark before I even see him. He steps into view from the side of the stage, his security uniform still on, the fabric creased from a long night. He doesn't say anything at first, just walks over with that steady stride of his and sits down beside me on the edge of the stage. He's close enough that I can feel the warmth radiating from him, a quiet comfort that contrasts with the chaos in my head. But he doesn't touch me. Not yet. I keep my gaze locked on the seats, my hands clenched tight in my lap, fingers digging into my palms as if that'll hold me together. I can't look at him. I'm not ready to see what's in his eyes, whether it's anger, disappointment, or something I can't even name. The silence between us stretches on, heavy and thick, broken only by the sound of his steady breathing. I can feel him watching me, his presence like a weight I can't ignore, and it makes my throat tighten. I don't know what to say, don't know how to start unraveling the mess of emotions tangled up inside me. Then, finally, he speaks, his voice low and gentle, cutting through the quiet like a soft blade. You were beautiful, Claire. I always knew there was more behind those eyes. His words hit me like a wave, unexpected and overwhelming, and I turned to him without thinking, my head snapping up to search his face. I'm braced for anger, for hurt, for some sign that I've broken something between us beyond repair, but there's none of that. His hazel eyes are steady, warm even, holding a quiet admiration that catches me off guard. There's something else there too, something like pride, as if he's seeing me in a way he never has before. I open my mouth, but nothing comes out at first. My mind is reeling, trying to process what he's saying, what it means. He keeps going, his voice still soft but carrying a weight that pins me in place. I've seen you holding back for years, Claire, hiding parts of yourself, keeping everything locked up tight. I wanted to give you a chance to break free, to feel something real, something raw, even if it meant crossing lines we've never crossed before. He pauses, his gaze never wavering, and then adds, I watched every moment through the security cameras, not out of jealousy, but because I needed to see you come alive. His confession sends a shiver through me, a mix of shock and something I can't quite name. He watched. Every second of it, every touch, every moment where I let go of the woman I've been for so long. I should feel violated, exposed, but instead, there's a strange relief washing over me. He's not angry. He's not turning away from me. If anything, he seems to understand something about me that I'm only just starting to grasp myself. But alongside that relief, there's confusion, a fog I can't see through. Why would he want this? Why would he push me into something so far outside the boundaries of our life together? And then there's the guilt, that sharp, persistent ache in my chest that won't let go. It's the morning after, and I'm standing in our kitchen, the familiar hum of the refrigerator, a quiet backdrop to my thoughts. A chipped coffee mug rests in my hands, the warmth seeping into my palms as I stare out the window at the suburban street I've seen 1,000 times before. The neat lawns, the identical houses, the predictable rhythm of it all. It's the same as it's always been. But today, everything feels different. Mark left for work an hour ago, his boots echoing on the floor just like they do every morning, and the house is silent now, save for the faint drip of the faucet I keep meaning to fix. Yet, in this stillness, there's a current running through me, a restless energy I can't quite name, as if the events of last night have rewired something deep inside. I catch my reflection in the glass of the window, and for a moment, I just study myself. Same face, same lines around my mouth from years of tight smiles, same hair pulled back in a practical knot. But my eyes, they're different. Brighter, somehow. Less guarded, like a veil has been lifted, letting a part of me I've kept hidden peek through. I glance down at the dress I chose this morning, one with shorter sleeves than I'd usually wear. It's a small thing, barely noticeable to anyone else. But to me, it feels like a declaration. A step toward shedding the armor I've worn for so long, the layers of restraint and caution I've wrapped myself in. I run my fingers along the fabric at my wrist, feeling the air against my skin, and it's as if I'm testing the waters of this new version of myself, dipping a toe into uncharted territory. My mind drifts back to last night, to the auditorium, to the intensity of those moments under the spotlight. I can still feel the weight of Mark's words echoing through the speakers, calling it a gift, urging me to let go. And I did. I let go in ways I never thought I could, surrendering to sensations and desires I'd buried so deep I'd forgotten they existed. The memory of it, the heat, the rush, the way I felt so utterly alive, still lingers, a quiet pulse beneath my skin. But it's not just the physical that keeps replaying in my head. It's Mark's voice afterward, sitting beside me on that stage, telling me I was beautiful, that he always knew there was more to me. His hazel eyes, so steady and warm, didn't hold judgment or anger, but something else. Understanding, maybe even awe. He saw me come alive, he said, and he wanted that for me. Needed it, even. I take a sip of my coffee, the bitter taste grounding me as I wrestle with the complexity of what I feel. There's guilt, of course, a sharp edge that hasn't dulled since last night. It cuts at me when I think of the life we've built, the promises we made, and how far I stepped beyond the boundaries I'd always respected. I wonder if I've betrayed something sacred, if I fractured the foundation of our marriage in a way that can't be mended. And yet, alongside that guilt, there's a sense of liberation I can't ignore. For the first time in years, I feel like I've breathed fully, like I've touched a part of myself that's been locked away behind walls of routine and restraint. It's confusing, this push and pull of regret and relief. But it's also real. More real than anything I've felt in a long time. I set the mug down on the counter, the ceramic clinking softly against the surface, and lean against the sink, my gaze drifting back to the street outside. Mark and I talked more on the way home last night, our voices low in the car as the city lights blurred past us. He didn't shy away from what happened, didn't pretend it was something we could sweep under the rug. Instead, he spoke with a quiet honesty I hadn't heard from him in years, admitting that he'd felt the staleness in our marriage too, the way we'd become more like roommates than partners. He wanted to shake things. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed this story. This will help us create more engaging stories for you.